One minute you're trying to save your football club, the next minute the doctors are trying to save your life. These are football players that almost died. Wait, what? While trying to save Barcelona in 2017, Messi almost lost his life. Both Juventus and Barcelona were desperate for a win, as only the winner gets to make it to the semi-finals. In the first leg though, Juventus won the match with 3-0. What only mattered to them in the second leg was another win. So both sides applied more effort than usual, especially Messi, who ended with a neck injury. He was trying to head a ball when he landed on his neck. According to the doctors, if he went a little bit higher than he did while trying to head a ball, he would have died. Back in 1998, David Beckham almost lost his life for getting a red card and letting his country down. It wasn't in Beckham's intention to do that. He just somehow lost his cool during the play when he was especially important. Throughout the first half, both teams had already scored 2 goals each, but somehow a foul led to an argument which almost resulted in a fight. Beckham argued with the referee, but the dude was not having it, so he sent Beckham off the pitch with a red card. That incident not only cost his country the World Cup, but also almost took his life. Think about it, a single person ruined the chance England had to win the World Cup in 30 years. That literally made Beckham receive hate from almost everyone in the country, to the point that they wanted him dead. Not only him, but also his entire family. Many people thought he could have just let whatever issues he had with the referee's judgment die instead of making it a big deal and causing a problem. Many people thought he could have just let whatever issues he had with the referee's judgment die instead of making it a big deal and causing a problem. I bet he would almost prefer to stay indoors after that incident, and if there's any reason for him to be out, he'd want to be sure there's no one following him around. He had to be extra careful. If there's anyone who most likely won't take action presently without considering dangers attached to it, that would be Matteo Silva, after he almost died in 2017. It was almost July 4th, the Independence Day, a day Americans celebrate. Silva and his teammates also thought of going out to celebrate, even though they had a game later that day. They thought of where to go, and Lake Tahoe came to mind. Since it was a public holiday, it was normal that the place would be more crowded than usual. So with that in mind, Silva and his teammates decided to go very early, so they could get back in time. As soon as they got to the beach around 6 a.m., Silva must have remembered a fun-filled moment in his childhood as he completely lost control. He felt like a child again, and without thinking at all, he jumped into the lake and swam all the way out to the buoys. His friends must be wondering what really got into him, but before they could get an answer, they saw Silva screaming for help and showing signs of drowning. It didn't look real to them, as they just stood and watched him thinking he was trying to prank them until they saw him down. That was when it occurred to them that there was a problem. They immediately jumped in to save him, but by the time they got to him, he had already stopped breathing. They took him out and the lifeguard came to help. He tried to perform CPR on him, but he wasn't responding still. Then they knew they had to call 911. Silva didn't come alive until 2 days after. He woke up to realize that he had been unconscious for 2 days. He also discovered that he jumped into freezing water, which put his body in shock and made his heart stop. If he was the only one there, it might have been the end for him. Imagine waking up to realize you almost died a few days ago. Whatever you imagined was how Zlatan felt after he learned he would have died back in 2010. A notorious shooter, Peter Manx, known as the Malmo street shooter, was implicated in 15 shootings between 2003 and 2010. He killed one person and was guilty for several other attempted murders, and for that was sentenced to life imprisonment. While he was behind bars, he decided to write all that he did while he was a free man in a book, and a part of his book involves Zlatan Ibrahimovic. You must be wondering how that kind of crazy man got involved with Zlatan. At the time, Zlatan was already famous, and so many times made the headlines. I guess Peter Manx wanted to make headlines together with Zlatan, or he's just a psycho because there was no fight or argument, not even a conversation between them to make him think of taking Zlatan's life. He said he only wanted to kill him to cause a proper hullabaloo in the media. According to Peter Manx, he's been watching Zlatan going from one place to another, and one day he saw Zlatan parked illegally in the middle of the road and thought that was the perfect time to end it all. He said parking was typical Balkan behavior, referring to Zlatan's Eastern European heritage. Fortunately, Peter Manx was not with his pistol. Peter rushed home to get his pistol, and before he could get back, Zlatan already left the place. I wonder what could have gone through Zlatan's mind the moment he realized that he could have been killed suddenly. Terrifying, right? Do you want to know what real terror is? Ask Dele Alli. See, Dele must have thought about crazy days before he spent $2 million on a mega mansion, as he had armed security around it who keeps watching 24/7. Well, what do you expect? But one day, the unexpected happened. While Dele was in one of the downstairs rooms playing pool with his girlfriend, his adopted brother and friends, knife-wielding masked man broke in. I don't know what Dele said or did, probably asked them how they got in, but whatever he said made one of the masked men land a heavy punch on his mouth, and on top of that was seriously bitten. That was when Dele and the rest knew that those visitors were not playing. Those robbers must have expected to find jewelry that cost a fortune in the mansion, considering how big it is, and after all, they were not disappointed. They eventually left with expensive jewelry worth about $300,000. Those guys were really desperate and would have taken out anything that tried to stand in their way, including life, but fortunately, it only cost Dele his jewelry. The police think the mansion was specifically targeted, probably for the owner or for the amount it was obtained. Sometimes the things you buy can cause some serious problems. That just reminds me of Neymar, whose car almost took his life. Neymar, who had once survived a crazy accident as a kid, grew up to have so many dreams, one of which is to live a very good life and thereby be able to afford a Ferrari Spider. He eventually made it big, and once he got a fat paycheck, he decided it was time to get himself a car he's always had his eyes on. He got himself a red Ferrari Spider that was sold at €200,000 at the time. In case you didn't know, this car has a crazy speed of up to 200 miles per hour. I guess Neymar loves a fast life. There was no noticeable problem with the car until a few weeks after, when Neymar woke up being spammed by his teammates. His club needed him at the time, and it seemed really urgent. Because of that, Neymar didn't check the weather, as he wanted to get to the practice facility on time. And since he had a car that could take him there as soon as possible, he just hopped in it. Suddenly, the rain hit, and somehow Neymar exited the highway, which resulted in a crash. Why didn't Neymar check well before he moved, right? I guess other than trying to get to his destination in time, he had a lot on his mind at the time. He had a court case where he was facing 2 years in jail. But I bet he forgot all about that the moment the car crashed and his life flashed before his eyes. He came out of that accident unscathed and even proceeded to his destination. But I bet you want to know the most iconic moments in football history. Go watch it! What are you waiting for?